What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Is the bottom in for Bitcoin here, at least for the medium term? And are we about to see a much larger move up? I want to talk about that in today's market update as we've approached $88,000, which is a major target that we have been looking at on the live streams for quite some time. We had about a week of sideways price action last week, and as we were sitting above the POC of the range, the next anticipated target was this $88,000 value area high. And once again, we've seen this volume profile fill from the low to the POC into that value area high. But the question is, what is the next stop for Bitcoin? Well, we do have some bullish confirmations that have not only confirmed, but we also have some additional bullish signs that are potentially looking to print here on Market Cipher B, which could give us a bit more confidence in our idea of getting a bigger retracement up to some higher targets. So I want to cover the next targets to the upside I'm looking at for Bitcoin. I want to take a look at the liquidation heat maps with you guys, and I want to show you those bullish signs that I'm watching that could potentially send us upwards of 91, 92, maybe even $97,000. Now, I don't want to waste too much time here because we have a lot to look at here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and as you can see, Bitcoin, after a week of consolidation, has finally picked a direction and gotten that big push to the upside to about $88,000. And obviously, guys, this has been a big target we've been watching on the channel, as it is the value area high of our macro range. This range will look very familiar to you because we looked at this all last week as Bitcoin was bing-bonging around here at the POC. But we know, guys, once we get inside these value areas, the next major target for Bitcoin is going to be that point of control. And then as long as you can remain above this point of control, the next likely place for price to go, guys, in a very magical manner, is going to be the value area high. And this is absolutely insane to see this volume profile fill. I think the title of one of the live streams recently, or maybe the thumbnail, was 88K incoming. And this is what we were looking at, guys. Now, I was potentially anticipating one last little pullback before getting that move up, but as we bing-bonged around here last week, I did remain a little bit neutral, either waiting for our bigger level here to get hit at $88,000 or a push down towards this anchored VWAP, getting closer to about 82,500. But Bitcoin decided to hold above our POC and get that move into the value area high. And it just shows, guys, the reliability of these volume profiles is absolutely insane. But now the question is, what happens here as we tap against this next key level of resistance? Now, if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you will know one of the reasons we've been anticipating a bigger retracement to the upside, and the reason I was feeling somewhat confident that we were going to be able to maintain support above this trend line, was because back here in early April, guys, we did come down and tap our major key level of high time frame support, sitting down here at our macro 786 / weekly naked point of control. And we did not just come down and tap these levels, guys. We came down and we put these nice bullish divergences in on the 2-day time frame. We also had these confirmed on the daily, and I will get to the daily in just a minute, but you can see here this money flow is finally starting to work its way to the upside, which is not only good because money flow coming up on the daily is a generally bullish sign, but we also have some higher time frames that are confluent with this money flow crossover, which could call for a much bigger move to the upside. But at the end of the day, we came down to macro support, we put in those high time frame bullish divergences, and then as we started cracking above this trend line, guys, because this bullish divergence is much prettier in my opinion than the first one that we saw down here, where you had lower lows on our price as we were front running our key level of support. We had the higher lows on our momentum waves, giving us a daily bull div. However, our money flow was in the red, making us anticipate a lower high for a continuation down to physically tap these key levels to put in a larger divergence, which is a much better signal in my opinion. This looks like a much cleaner divergence. Also, we have money flow now coming to the upside, and we've broken above our major macro trend line here that has been nailing us to the downside every single time we approach it, and we have finally cracked above that level, and it does look like we are indeed seeing what we want to see here with that break above the trend line, with those nice confirmations. And again, I'm going to get to that daily money flow in just a minute. But very, very nice here, guys, as we've gotten that full retracement, and we all know that over the long term, what we've been looking at is a potential larger macro retracement into some much higher Fibonacci levels, targeting upwards of about $97,000, where we have the macro golden pocket pulled from the all-time high all the way to our current low. Are we about to see Bitcoin change trends here, flip this key level to support, and give us the bigger move into our next targets? And again, I'm going to cover these in detail. Although they're the same targets we've been looking at, they may start to come in very quickly, so I do want to go over them with you guys today. But that has just been our general idea here, right? We come down, we have high time frame bull divs into a macro key level, and we have finally cracked above this trend line. We have the liquidity sitting above here. And what do we know about liquidity, guys? It acts as a magnet for price. And you can see here in all of its glory, this is what we've been looking at ever since we've been bing-bonging around here in our volume profile. We knew we had all this liquidity. It was likely to act as a magnet, especially with the confluence that we had here, not only with the liquidity above, but that liquidity was also confluent with our value area high, just proving how reliable these volume profiles are. You get above the value area low. At that point, the next likely place for price to go is the POC. We got above that POC, bing-bonged around, and then we wound up getting that push into the value area high. So many reasons to be looking at this target, guys, not just based off the volume profiles, but also those higher time frame bullish signals. And it does look like these signals are continuing to pop up on the chart. But right now, guys, we do have to be a little bit careful as this is a value area high. It is going to be somewhat of a significant resistance level. Now, if we are able to get some confirmations up here, I will be looking for shorts. But at this point, guys, I am going to be treating any shorts I take up here as a scalp position, because when you have all this liquidity above, unless we come up here for some kind of massive SFP, we do have to be careful, because as we know, when all these short stop losses and liquidations wind up getting hit, if we don't get a quick liquidity sweep, it may just act as fuel for a bigger move to the upside. Because when you get stopped out or liquidated out of a short position, it creates market buy pressure, which could give us two kind of outcomes, right? A quick liquidity sweep or a giant squeeze to the upside. So if we do come up and wind up cracking into this liquidity, guys, we do have some resistance above sitting right here at the 786 Fibonacci retracement, which is right now sitting at about $90,673. This is going to be kind of that backup resistance. So we are looking for shorts up here potentially. But like I said, with our daily money flow now looking like it might want to continue to the upside, this is exactly what we wanted to see here on our last live stream, saying, hey, if we could continue putting in higher lows on our money flow and keep that trend coming to the upside, this could be a bullish sign, because once that daily money flow crosses into the green, we can anticipate the continuation of the overall trend to the upside. Now, obviously, we have to anticipate ups and downs, right? Those little ebbs and flows in the market. But overall, if that money flow crosses into the green, we could potentially look for that continuation to the upside. This is the exact same thing that we looked at when we had our money flow crossover into the red. Back here in February, we anticipated the continuation of the downtrend, and you could see that was a very, very, very good signal, as we did get a brutal next couple of months. And we are potentially seeing that money flows looking to shift back to the upside here. So again, just like back here, we anticipated the continuation of the downtrend. We are going to be looking at that same thing, right? If that money flow continues up, sure, we can get little ebbs and flows. That's why I'm going to be treating this short position up here, if I do take one, as a scalp position, right? We could potentially capitalize on a little move down, but in the overall context of a continuation to the upside. So very, very nice to see that liquidity act as a magnet, see that value area high act as a magnet, pushing price to our next target. But speaking of targets, let's talk about those next targets to the upside that I'm personally watching. We saw 88K sitting here with all that liquidity. That was target number one. But now let's see if we could come up and hit some of those higher levels. Now, number one, guys, above $88,000. As we sit around here, like I said, $91,000 is going to be that next macro level of resistance, because this is going to be the value area low of our macro range. If I pull off our current range here, guys, you could start to see here, this is our next previous area of balance. And as you know, based off auction market theory, guys, if we take a look at our current range here, if we do indeed wind up breaking out of this range and impulsing to the upside, price is very likely to get gravitated towards our next previous area of balance. Price always seeks fair value. So if we do impulse out of this range, we could potentially look at $91,000 as our next key level of resistance. Now, this is going to be a bit of a zone. We have our 786 again sitting at 90,664, and then the value area low of the range comes in closer to 91,000. So this is 100% going to be the next big level of resistance we must get above, guys. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important levels on the chart, because once we get accepted back above that value area low, we could potentially look at this as an opportunity to get accepted back into this previous range. And once you get above that value area low, guys, that next target for Bitcoin may be that beautiful $96,000 to $97,000 zone that we've been looking at forever here as we bing pong below the range. This is the major level, being the full golden pocket retracement when pulled from the all-time high to the current low. And we also have this anchored VWAP, which is going to be very, very confluent with this level as we get up there. So if we could flip these levels to support, guys, this could be very, very bullish for Bitcoin, especially with the money flow coming to the upside on the daily. And some of the signs I'm going to show you in just a second could indicate that we might be able to get accepted into into this range and finally see that bigger retracement. And then at that point, guys, we will obviously be looking at this as a huge level of resistance, but at the end of the day, you have to understand that the POC of our larger range does come in right on that golden pocket. So if we're able to reclaim that as support, the next major target would be sitting right here between the daily and the value area high, with the 786 sitting right in the middle. We flip that golden pocket POC to support. The next likely place for price to go at that point would be the 786 value area high. And we do have the daily sitting here at about $101,000. So this whole zone does sit between about $101,375 and $103,136. If we are able to flip that POC golden pocket, this is going to be that next big level. Are we about to see Bitcoin go to 96 to maybe even upwards of 103,000, guys? I will say, number one, get above that value area low, $91,000. Very, very, very good sign for Bitcoin. And the volume profile theory, guys, always remains exactly the same, right? It's this, we're going to treat that range just like we treated this one, right? We knew once we got above that value area low, POC would be next. Hold above the POC, we could look for that value area high. That's going to be the exact same way that I'm viewing that upper range here. Now, we know, although this is our doorway to higher prices, it is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some turbulence up there. But once you get up there and you start flipping this level to support, guys, it might be a very, very nice sign for more upside on Bitcoin. And if we just look at this as like a high time frame volume profile, guys, we could potentially look at this as a deviation below our macro range with bullish divergences confirmed, again, on a higher time frame. This could indicate a very, very strong bottom, guys. Not just bullish divergences, but money flow coming up. This is what we want to see if we can get that crossover for the continuation to the upside. Not to mention that we broke our macro trend line. Not to mention that we also have those higher time frame signals. So this could be the start of a much bigger Bitcoin pump, in my opinion, especially if we see that money flow crossover into the green. And general volume profile theory here, if I were just looking at the volume profiles, well, hey, we're deviating below our fair value here. We put in bullish confirmations. If we reclaim that value area low, we're probably going to come in and respect this upper range, which could be very, very nice to see. Now, we do have to be careful of macro lower highs, as we've been talking about on the live stream. Maybe if we see super bearish signals here with high time frame money flow coming out, we could anticipate a lower high to come in for a macro lower low, but we'll assess that situation as we get there, because remember, guys, the 3-day money flow is still not looking too hot. That 2-day money flow is attempting to come up here, but nothing really to write home about just yet. But with the early signal of that daily money flow looking to cross over into the green, guys, hopefully, if we get that daily money flow crossover, this could start to leak into those higher time frames like the 2-day. We could see this maybe start to come into the green. Maybe that causes the 3-day money flow to start peaking up here. But I do just want to point out, we have to keep in mind here from a binary stance, sure, we have a little tick up in money flow here, but generally this is still trending out, which is why we do have to be careful of potential lower highs and lower lows to come. But if we get up here and that money flow is starting to turn around, we might be able to dodge that bullet, guys. And if we reclaim that $97,000 area, in my opinion, it greatly increases the chances of potentially getting a bigger breakout. But again, there's going to be very likely signs on the chart that will help guide us in that decision we have to make up there. But just in general, guys, this does look pretty good, in my opinion, as we've been looking at those high time frame bull divs into the key level of support for that bigger retracement. It is playing out exactly as we would hope for, just following along that volume profile blueprint that we like to set here on the charts. Absolutely unbelievable. Just once again, those volume profiles playing out in full. Now, before I let you guys go, I do want to talk about some of those bullish signs that I'm seeing here on the higher time frames. Like I did mention, that daily money flow crossover into the green. The interesting thing here is, guys, if we get a little bit of turbulence up here, maybe the red dot on the daily prints, we get a little pullback, or however this winds up playing out, if this money flow continues into the green, one signal that I am looking at is going to be the 2-week green dot. Now, if you guys remember to last weekend, not this previous one, but last weekend, we were looking at the weekly green dot printing here on Market Cipher B, hoping that if we get that weekly green dot, we could see the 10-hour money flow crossover into the green, and that is a Market Cipher B 1/16th bullish setup here. And when we typically see this on the chart, it does indicate that the trend is going to continue to the upside, and that's exactly what we saw here. And that's a high time frame bullish signal on Market Cipher B, and we are seeing that continuation to the upside. But the beautiful thing here is, guys, if we can see that daily money flow crossover into the green with a 2-week green dot printing, this could be the next macro signal that would call for much more upside on Bitcoin, because this is another Market Cipher B 1/16th bullish setup, and the 2-week is a no-joke high time frame that does oftentimes give us big moves to the upside. So we had the 10-hour money flow crossover with the weekly green dot. We see the continuation up. Again, also understanding the key targets, the value area high that was sitting above, the liquidity. It's not just that one Market Cipher B signal, but all these things are starting to line up, and it's starting to look like maybe we are going to see a bigger retracement here for Bitcoin, as we've been absolutely praying for, and I do hope this bullish momentum does continue, but we are starting to see some things on the chart. So bullish signals to watch, 2-week green dot with your daily money flow crossover. That's your bullish market cipher B1/16. You already got the weekly green dot and the 10-hour money flow crossover, so that's a beautiful start. And now that we're starting to see that money flow crossover into the green on the daily, things are starting to look like we might be able to get that bigger move. So we got the 2-week green dot potentially looking to print in the next couple of weeks here. We have the daily money flow coming up, which is a beautiful sign for a continuation to the upside. We have the strong high time frame bullish divergences into that key level of support at 75K. And if we take a look here at those higher time frames, guys, understanding we have that liquidity of right above us right now, the next significant level of liquidity is going to be sitting up at about $100,000, guys. So again, once we get back into that upper range, we could understand that once we flip that $91,000 value area lows to support, get above that anchored VWAP, right? We now are looking at this as, hey, where's our next target to the upside? All that liquidity is sitting up here towards $100,000. It does look very good if we could get it back inside this range, guys, in my own personal opinion. So the next targets for me are going to be 91 to 92K, 96 to 97K, and then if we can get up there, we have that liquidity sitting above 100K that could lead us into the next third major target between $101,300 and $103,000 at the value area high of our macro range. So we'll see. It's going to take some time to see that play out, guys, but this is my longer term plan here. If we can see all those bullish signs continue, that daily money flow is going to be our guide to see that larger continuation to the upside into these next key targets, where obviously we are going to be careful of pullbacks and potential lower highs and massive dumps. But this is what I'm looking at this point, just following along the plan we've been looking at on the live stream, and we're just seeing things line up perfectly here. So things do look good when you look at it from a volume profile perspective. Hopefully we can see that continuation up, maybe sooner than we think. We can be looking at these larger Fibonacci retracement targets. But those are the next major targets I'm looking at on Bitcoin, and some of the bullish signs that might be pointing towards a continuation of this trend to higher prices. So guys, that's all the time I got for today's video. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop here with these market updates and the daily live streams, but so far, so good with our plan on our road to 97K. And if something changes, we'll be here to call out the TA and predict that next move on Bitcoin for the Candle Mafia. So with all that being said, guys, if you like the content, drop a thumbs up and let me know, do you think that we're going to 97K, or do you think this is just a scam pump and we're going to 0? Let me know in the comments. That's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
At the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.